What if Mario couldn't get into Bob-omb Battlefield in Super Mario 64? So around 3 years ago, I released this, a video outlining what would happen if Link never got out of bed in Ocarina of Time. But alongside that video, I had actually drafted up a few others. This is one of those others, further cemented by the release of Odyssey. Sponsorships help out a ton, so I want to thank Hob, the Definitive Edition, for supporting my channel. If you're a Nintendo buff like me, then you're always playing games on the go with the Switch. I grew up playing tons of platformers featuring immersive worlds, so Hob was of course right up my alley. Hob the Definitive Edition is a single-player adventure game where you traverse through the ruins of an ancient world. Along the way, you pick up new items and abilities that aid you in your quest. From being able to move heavy objects and smash walls, to hacking and slashing your way to victory against a multitude of creatures you encounter. The Definitive Edition of the game just launched on Nintendo Switch, and has been enhanced overall for the platform. If you'd like to check out the game yourself, be sure to click the link in the description below. Also, they're doing a really cool giveaway for a customized Hob-themed Nintendo Switch, which I highly recommend looking into. You can find a link to that also in the description below. And I want to thank Hob, the Definitive Edition, for sponsoring this video. Super Mario 64's castle is one of the most iconic gaming hubs in the world of Nintendo. From our adventures in Mario 64, to our off-track musings in Mario Kart, all the way to the modern iteration in Super Mario Odyssey. When I first explored the castle in Odyssey, I found it odd that pretty much all the areas I wanted to check out from within were blocked off. For those who watched my video on that particular concept, I hypothesized why the castle was supposedly blocked, but the concept of being hung up here was kind of interesting. How would Mario's journey have been different if something similar happened in Mario 64? Not the concept of a sealed-off castle, but the idea of being stopped before starting. More so, what if Mario couldn't get into Bob-omb Battlefield? What if the painting downstairs was accidentally swapped with the painting upstairs? This simple act sets off an entire chain of events that makes our classic adventure a lot more difficult. So Mario jumps out of his pipe, races to the castle, swings open the door, ignores Bowser's nonsense, and then rockets straight into the first stage, only to bop his head and fall to the ground. The first stage can't be entered because the enchanted painting was accidentally swapped with the plain one. In Princess Peach's castle, there's actually two Bob-omb Battlefield paintings. One is on the first floor and allows us to jumpstart our adventure in rescuing Peach, and the other is a duplicate placed in the art gallery upstairs that is only for viewing purposes. Since they're both exactly the same, minus the liquid effect that occurs when pressure affects the canvas of the enchanted painting, one could assume someone may have simply misplaced the paintings. And this one switch changes the entire flow of the game. So quick story time. A while back, a bunch of my YouTube buddies and I had attempted to beat Super Mario 64 while only playing as Goombas. For those who don't know, there's a hosting platform available that allows you to play with your friends online, but it also lets you change who you play as. Now, the thing is, Goombas can't jump, they can only dive. They also can't pick up enemies or objects unless they dive into it. But what we soon realized is that while playing as Goombas, zero progress can be made in terms of clearing the game. No stars can be obtained due to the limited abilities that Goombas have. Thus, this ended up with us rubbing against walls for an hour or so trying to clip through doors to get to stages except for Bob-omb Battlefield. In the end, no progress was made, and the run was pretty much cancelled. Now, fast forward to our dilemma. Mario cannot enter the painting to obtain any stars, and because of this, that means all stages past this point cannot be accessed. And this is where we divide the concept up. On one hand, we have the actual gameplay timeline, where a player figures out a way that Mario can progress. On the other hand, we have the story timeline, as in, hypothetically, the series of events within Mario 64's actual story are changed, because Mario is stuck. Both of these are mutually exclusive from one another. So, for the moment, suspend disbelief for the sake of having fun overthinking a video game. And let's break these down. Let's start with gameplay Mario, as in crazy, insane speedrunner Mario. If you've watched Terminal Montage's animation about Super Mario 64, you probably know where this is going. From a player perspective, pretty much anything is possible for Mario to achieve. While Mario's insane speed isn't going to break him through a painting that's not active, it will clip him through walls and doors in the castle's lobby. By backwards long jumping against certain pieces of geometry, Mario's in-game speed starts to skyrocket through the quick successions of jumps. Once he's built up enough, he can pretty much launch himself through lots of objects. So even though Womp's Fortress is locked, for example, Mario can clip through the door without needing the star he normally used to open it. He then, in turn, could clear the stage and get enough stars to fight Bowser. Or he can simply use the same door skipping method to go straight to Bowser with 0 stars. In fact, by doing this in every area, Mario can just go straight to every Bowser without even needing any stars. Building up speed on this wall and staircase in the basement propels Mario through Dire Dock straight into the Fire Sea, as can the same BLJ mechanics bring Mario up the repeating staircase without any stars. So Mario could actually beat the game with 0 stars, just like Todd Rogers normally does, but most of you probably already know this. So let's swing on over to the more interesting angle to this concept: how the story would progress if Mario couldn't go insane and warp through walls. So, where were we? Oh right, Mario just bonked his head on the painting and now he has no idea what to do. From a story perspective, Mario would probably head out and try to open all the doors in the area only to be blocked each and every time. He'd wander into the basement and into the courtyard, hoping to find a way to progress, but he wouldn't find anything. At this point, he'd probably go outside and search the perimeter of the castle. Now, this is where things get interesting. After looking around, Mario would certainly turn his attention to the water in the area at some point. Despite the cannon being locked, Mario would realize getting on top of the castle wouldn't do him any good, since there are no entry points up top. Given what we know about the interior of the castle, nothing that looks like a window actually leads inside, since there are no windows inside the castle at all. So with his attention fixed on the water, he'd attempt to utilize the underwater door, which of course wouldn't open. Now, if you disagree and think Mario should be able to open this door from a story perspective, despite gameplay saying otherwise, that's okay. Hold on to that thought because we'll be addressing it again soon. Let's check out a few other things first. Vanish Cap's gate is closed off until the water is drained, so entering this stage is futile. Even if Mario attempted to enter the stage through the exit, technically the exit should be located in the black void below the stage. Mario utilizes this exit after he falls down below, and only if he falls down below. Exiting the stage after grabbing the star takes you through the main gate, as does dying. So Vanish Cap is a bust, and so is trying to enter Dire Docks through its exit. Technically, the Bowser Gate underwater exits into the small lake, but the door is closed until we progress in the stage. Wing Mario over the Rainbow's exit, from a story perspective, probably couldn't be accessed without the use of a cannon, since we fall out of the sky. And Wing Cap can't be entered through its magic warp without having the correct number of stars. Same with Big Boo's Haunt. But there's technically one hope, and that's the Metal Cap stage. Within Hazy Maze Cave, there is a waterfall area that holds the Metal Cap switch. If Mario gets whisked away in the water's flowing current, he'll get expelled from the waterfall outside the castle. Since we can see the actual waterfall from within Hazy Maze Cave, that means this area is actually right beyond the wall outside the castle that the waterfall flows from. This is the only entrance Mario can utilize to get into the castle area, so with a well-placed long jump from atop the castle, which Mario can get to without the use of the cannon, from a story point of view, Mario would rightfully be able to enter this area and stand on the brink of the waterfall. This is only assuming he knew there was a cave behind here. I imagine Peach would have hopefully had Mario over at the castle in the past, so perhaps this would be common knowledge. Truthfully though, he might be able to see through the waterfall anyways. Oh yes, we're going to overthink this whole thing to death. Welcome to a SwankyBox video. So with Mario standing at the edge of the waterfall, which is walkable in terms of being a straight line, he can't swim into the actual cave at all. The current is too strong, and it pushes him outside again. However, he could technically long jump into a wall kick to then land on top of the floating block. With another well-placed long jump off this block, he could then reach the land in the cave without having to swim. And at this point, he has two options. He can either wall kick back up the inky pit into the Hazy Maze Cave and collect a star, or he can get the Metal Cap and collect all the red coins in this area. Once he gets that star though, things become a bit more normal. Well, not quite, but soon. Grabbing a star of any kind within this cave spits out Mario into the basement. At this point, he can certainly clear any of the stages down here he wants, but he won't be able to get back upstairs. Technically, the basement door is locked and needs a key to be opened. While the game never intended Mario to be down here without a key, meaning the door can be opened one way and not the other, I still feel like we should play by the rules that the door is locked. And since it has keyholes on both sides, it's locked on both sides. But honestly, this doesn't really stop Mario at this point, because now he can simply drain the moat for the castle and then exit into the front yard. If for some reason you want to argue that the door should have opened from a story perspective before, back when it was underwater, we basically end up reaching the same conclusion. With a star now in Mario's hand, he's free to open Womb's Fortress up and proceed through the game as normal. Even with Bob-omb Battlefield off limits until later in the game, Mario can still collect all the stars needed to progress, and his quest is back on its path. So one painting throws Mario into quite a conundrum. but with some careful exploring of his surroundings, he can still proceed through the game to save Peach. Or, you know, he could blast through some walls with the force of a cannonball and clear the game with 0 stars. Your choice, Mario. Your choice. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this alternative Mario timeline. If you want to check out my first experience with Hob, I just released a video about it on my second channel. You can find it on screen now. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers.